So just like the 45, 45, 90, this only works when you have a triangle that measures 30, 60, 90. And it also has a special layout of side ratios or side lengths. Everything is going to be in reference to the shortest leg. So how can we tell which one is the shortest leg? Anyone remember when we did triangle inequalities? Smallest leg is across from the smallest angle. So what's our smallest angle? So we start by going across from the smallest angle. We call that side A. The longer leg is going to be the short leg times the square root of 3. No, it's supposed to be an S, and then I accidentally drew a line because I said longer, so I started writing L, but I meant to write S. Yeah. Okay, so it's the shorter leg times the square root of 3. So what's the longer leg? 90's hypotenuse. So across from 60 would be our longer leg, so that would be A root 3. The shorter leg, A, times the square root of 3. The hypotenuse leg, the shorter leg times 2 is your hypotenuse. So that means the side across from 90 is going to be 2A. So the pattern is the only thing that's really different on these. So 45, 45, 90, we had the two legs were both A, the hypotenuse was A root 2. On the 30, 60, 90, your shortest leg is A, your longer leg is A root 3, and your hypotenuse is 2A. So everything we're going to do today is going to be focused on solving for different sides, but with this pattern instead of the 45, 45, 90 pattern. So this should help you do the back side of that first worksheet, Max, and the rest of that, all the other problems on that second one. So on all of these, we're going to solve for X and Y. That's 60 degrees. Okay, so these are our first two that we're going to look at right here. So just like in yesterday's, start by putting the pattern onto your triangle. Bless you. Okay, so if we start with putting our pattern on the triangle, start with finding out where is A. So where's your shortest side? So in this first one, which one is the shortest side? Y, because this angle over here is 30. So that means Y would be our A. Our longer leg is what? Which one?
X.
X. So that's going to be A root 3. And our hypotenuse is going to be 2A. So the side that I know is the 46. I know that has to equal 2A. So that means we have to solve for A. Divide both sides by 2. I get A is 23. So if A is 23, what does that tell me? X or Y? That Y is 23. And then how does that help me find x? It's 23 root 3. And there's your answer. Yeah.
So it would be easier if it gave us just one elements just to find A every single time.
Just like yesterday, that's kind of what we did. We just, 2a was the same thing on some of them. But yeah, you always want to start with try to find the shorter leg, because that's how the whole pattern is written, is in terms of the shorter leg. So find A, and then you can figure out any piece that you need. Max.
So when you find the shorter leg, you always put 30 degrees across from it?
Mm-hmm. Usually you have to know where the 30 is. So find the 30, across from that's A. So on the second one, where's the 30?
Between the X and the 20.
So where's our A?
Y.
Y. So then what's the longer leg?
It's the right side.
Okay, the 20 is the longer leg, so that's our A root 3, meaning the hypotenuse will be 2A. So then again, now we look to see what side do we actually have a measurement on the A root 3 side. So I'm going to set up the equation. 20 has to equal A root 3. So just like before, on the one above, we have to solve for A. So we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 3. So I get A is equal to 20 over root 3, but we need to rationalize it. So to rationalize, we're going to multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3 to get 20 square root 3 over 3. So that is telling me which letter, X or Y. If A is equal to, it's telling us Y. So I have 20 root 3 over 3 as my Y value. Now to find X. To find X, we do 2 times whatever A is. So 2 times 20 root 3 over 3. So when we multiply fractions, we multiply top with top and bottom with bottom. So on top, we can only multiply outside the square root with outside the square root. So what's 2 times 20? So we get 40 root 3 over 3. That would be your X value. That one right there is probably one of the, I guess you could say, more difficult ones, just because there's a lot of square root work. Usually that's what you can do, what tells you it's going to be a little more difficult, is just having to do a lot more with square roots. Okay. So how are we doing so far with the 30, 60, 90 pattern? We doing okay? All right, I want to do, I have 3 more planned for us to do. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. So again, we're solving for X and Y. So these are the next 2 that I have planned for us. And then I have one more to top it off at the very, very end. I'll leave you in suspense as to what that one looks like. So again, where do we start? Start with figuring out where 30 is and where A would go for your pattern. So where's our 30? And then go across from that. That's our A. Go to the longer leg that's a root 3, and your hypotenuse, 2a.
So why is it 2a?
It all comes down to the Pythagorean theorem. I can show you how we get these values, but that's what the hypotenuse always is. So it has to do with distance formula, Pythagorean theorem, all those things. And when you do them, this pattern comes out of how these numbers are related, and this is just the pattern. So if you really want, I can do that for you after we go through notes. Okay. So then once we have our pattern listed, here's the side that I know a length of. So if I take my 9 root 3 and set it equal to a root 3 and solve for a, just like we did in the second example there, we divide both sides by the square root of 3, but what happens here is that the root 3's will cancel out, so we don't have to rationalize. So a is just 9. So in this case, y is just 9. X is going to be 2 times a. Well, if a is 9, what's 2 times 9? 18. And that would be your x and y. Okay, so then same thing on this one. Identify where's your 30-degree angle. So our 30 degree is over here. Go across from it. Y is our a, meaning a root 3 will go with the 6, and 2a will go with the x, because that's our hypotenuse. So just like the one before, we're going to take the longer leg and solve that equation for a. The main difference on this one is it doesn't cancel out, so we do in fact have to rationalize like example 2. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by square root 3. So we end up with 6 root 3 over 3 equals a. Can we simplify this further though? Yes. What simplifies? The outside 3 and the outside 6. So that means we're actually going to end up with 2 root 3. So it's outside only. So the root 3 stays root 3. It's only the outside 2 numbers that can reduce. So if a is 2 root 3, that means y is 2 root 3. So for x, we have to double it. So 2 times 2 root 3. What will that give us? 4 root 3. Still doing okay? Okay, last example here. This one is going to have a little something extra to it. It's a 2-in-1. 2 triangles and 1 picture. So what do we do? We're still trying to find x and y. That's the goal. So we're still trying to find out what is x and what is y. Chase?
For 45, 90, is it a root 2?
It is a root 2. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to separate the triangles here. So I have my 45, 45, 90. So I have x, y. So when I put the pattern on, I have a root 2. But we also have this 30, 60, 90 over here, where we know one side. If we put the pattern on that triangle, our 30's over here, so we start across. This would be A, our hypotenuse would be 2a, and our longest side would be a root 3. So how does this help us? What do you notice about the two triangles?
That 9 equals A.
9 is equal to a, yes. Maddie, what were you saying? I heard you. What do you notice about the two triangles? They share a side. Which side?
The hypotenuse.
This a root 2 and this a root 3 are the shared side. So the longest leg of the 30, 60, 90 and the hypotenuse are equal. So that means if we can find the longest leg, we can set that equal to our hypotenuse to find A. So let's go through. Can we figure out what this side is? That side is 9 root 3, because we know that A is 9. So that means 9 root 3 has to equal our hypotenuse, A root 2. So if we solve for A, we'll get x and y. So when we solve for A, we have to divide both sides by the square root of 2. And we have to rationalize. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by the square root of 2. Now, square roots get multiplied with other square roots. So we'll have 9 on the outside. What's on the inside? 6. And then on the bottom, just 2. Can we simplify any of the outside numbers? Nope, so we're done. That's our answer. So x is 9 root 6 over 2 and y is 9 root 6 over 2. So this one is an example of how you can handle problems that have two triangles in one. Draw them out separate and try to identify which side has to be the same. And then find that one side, get a number for it, so that way you can set up an equation to solve for the missing pieces. Okay, that right there is about as hard as it's going to get, is that last one. Most of it is going to be like the first 4, but you do have one like the last one.